So in the last video, I mentioned that I would discuss conferences and how conferences are going to work. So that's what this video is about. But before we get into that, I really wanted to reiterate, if you saw the announcement the other day or not, that you guys did so well with Project 2.1. I was extremely impressed. Basically, the whole time that I was grading, I just was saying, "Oh my God, like, did my students really got this?" And I was just bragging to Jonathan and reading him your research questions and stuff, and you guys just, I couldn't be more pleased with your work. It was just great. So congratulations to all of you. You did a really good job. I was just very happy. It's definitely the best collective work that I have ever seen from students, and I am just immensely proud of all of you. Just great job. So please keep that up. If I see that kind of work for 2.2, it's gonna, nothing feels better to a teacher than seeing students really understand what, we're asking you to do. And you guys clearly got this assignment. So it was just really nice for me, a refreshing kind of like, you know what you're doing. Like, so anyway, I'm so proud of you guys, and keep up the good work. Um, okay, with that being said, before I move into conferences, I also wanted to let you guys know that probably later this week, maybe over the weekend, I'm never done grading papers. As soon as I got done with you guys, my 1,100 students had a paper due, so I'm just trying to catch up, and I'm working about 20 hours a week on top of that at Piggly Wiggly. So it's just been, my life has been a little hectic lately. Anyway, probably this weekend, maybe early next week, I'm going to put up another video that has a sample paper. I was going to go ahead and do that today, but when I pulled it up, this is a sample paper from last year's 2201 that I taught last spring. It's a really good paper, so I want to share it with you guys as a kind of a model of what I'm asking you to do as far as, addressing your audience and that kind of thing. But the student wrote it last year, so it's in old APA, and while she did a really good job, she had a few small formatting errors. I want to update it to be in the new version of APA, just so you guys can really follow it as an example of, here I'm actually going to go through and make sure that the formatting is totally perfect so that you guys can emulate that formatting. So I'll be doing that later this week. I'll also talk about that student's grade. I don't have access to the rubric that I use to grade her paper, so I can't actually go through the rubric with you for that one. I'll just talk about the grade that I gave her, because I know what grade I gave her. I don't have access to the rubric. And then when I do a mock grade, I will go through with the rubric so that you guys can really see what the rubric looks like and what the rubric is asking you to do as well. You should be able to see rubrics with your feedback. I don't know how many of you have actually gone and looked at your feedback from 2.1. Speaking of, I've had a few students ask me about this, so let me just really quickly. If you are in Blackboard, you're going to go up here. I don't have this option because I'm not a student, but you'll go up here, hit this drop down menu, and over here on the left hand side, there will be it's like a little piece of paper with a check mark. So you'll click on that. That's the grade book. And once you get in there, you can navigate sort of to our course and then to the assignment. And you should be able to see the rubric along with my feedback. So if you have any problems with that, just let me know. But that's how you do that. That's how you get a grades. I meant to tell my freshmen that, and I forgot. Oh well, I'll tell them next time. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what conferences are going to look like. So first of all, if you go into Blackboard, I've put up a new tab that specifically says conferences, just so it's easier for you guys to find. And I've got a little bubble of information there about this first round of conferences. So this week, I'm not going to be doing conferences with you guys. It will be Miss Bamble. This is partially because I really want all of you guys to get two sets of eyes. on your papers and what you have so far. It's partially because you'll get feedback at one stage where maybe you're not as close to being done, and then by the time you conference with me next week, you'll have a little more done. So you'll get feedback at multiple stages, which I think is helpful. And it's last of all because Miss Banville is absolutely losing her mind and wants to do something with you guys. She's just itching to be a teacher, and she can't teach right now. It's a complicated situation, but so I'm just trying to give her small opportunities to interact with you guys, especially now that everything has moved to this online platform. But she is very, very excited. She is very, very interested in hearing from all of you. And essentially the way that these conferences are going to work is, first and foremost, you are not required to conference with Ms. Banville or with me. I strongly suggest that you do conference with us, because we're going to be able to give you feedback that's going to help you improve your writing for project 2.2, and it's going to that in turn is going to improve your grade. So I very, very strongly suggest that you do take advantage of both of these conferencing opportunities, but you are not required to. That's partially because I've found that when I do require students to conference, the ones who don't care are not going to show up, which is frustrating. Or they're going to show up unprepared, which is frustrating. Or, they're going to clearly be just totally turned off to the whole process, and I'm not going to force you to do something that you don't want to do. I'm also very aware that several of you may not have, anything close to a draft right now. You might have like a really outline or something. I mean, I know you have enough information that you've got a thesis idea because of the research proposal, but please don't think that you have to come into these conferences with like a full completed draft. You don't. You could go into this conference with absolutely nothing and just chat with Miss Banville, say like, hey, I was thinking about taking it in this direction, but I'm also thinking about this other direction. What do you think? You don't have to come in with anything actually on the page. So do keep that in mind. But you're absolutely not required to conference if you don't want to, if you don't have time to. I know that some of you may not have enough bandwidth to actually do a video chat, which is what this really is. So again, you're not required to, but I really, really do suggest that you take advantage of this, because I know that a lot of you have classes. This is the smallest class that you're in, and so you don't get an opportunity to have one-on-one, interaction with the instructor and the writing liaison. So it's just good to take advantage of the resources that you have. I'm sorry, my sister-in-law is texting me. Do take advantage of it if you can. That's my advice, but you absolutely are not required to. It's not a grade. You're not going to get anything docked. None of that. So essentially, if you want to do a video conference, what you're going to have to do is download this app called Zoom. It's a free app. If it asks you to pay for anything, you're probably using the wrong thing. So just make sure that you're using Zoom. That's ZOOM, Zoom. And essentially all you're doing is downloading the app. I don't even think you have to sign up for an account, but you can if you want to. And then essentially you sign up for a time slot with Miss Banville, and she will send you a code and a password kind of thing to get into the actual meeting. And then you have 5 minutes to talk about whatever you like. You can show her things in your paper. You can, and like I said, if you don't have a paper yet, that's perfectly fine. You can just kind of bounce ideas off of her. But with the 5-minute thing, keep in mind, it's 5 minutes. So you don't need to expect Miss Banville to read your entire draft or, go through 15 different things with you, because you only have 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not a lot of time. So, really when you come into these conferences, kind of hone in on one or two things that you want to have addressed. If you're really concerned that your references are wrong, focus on just looking at your references page rather than trying to look at other things in paper. If you think that your thesis is maybe poorly phrased, focus on looking at that thesis. If you're struggling with transition sentences, look at those transition sentences, topic sentences. You want to have one or two very specific things that you're addressing, because like I said, 5 minutes is just not a long time. And then that's it. Then you're done. You after you're done talking, you just jump off of it and go and do whatever you were doing before you had your conference. Go live your life. With all that being said, there's a link. I'll just show you what this conferences page looks like really quickly. I don't know if you can tell, but I like Harry Potter. So there's the tab over here on the left that says conferences, as you can see right there. And then there's this information. So what you'll do to sign up is follow this link right here. The instructions are pretty clear when you look at this page, but you just follow that link. You'll see all the time slots that are available. You pick a time slot and then it disappears. So we've already tested this just to make sure that it works. As you guys know, I'm not very tech savvy, so I signed up for a conference with Ms. Banville so she can show me how to work Zoom. So anyway, when you sign up for a conference, that conference time obviously goes away, and then that's it. So nobody else can take your conference time, in other words. But it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. And again, I really, really, really just suggest that you take advantage of this if you can. Now, if you're someone who wants to conference but maybe doesn't have the bandwidth or the connectivity to do this video conference thing, then your second option is to simply email Miss Banville your work, or to email her. You know, if you're more of a I wanna have a kind of chit chat back and forth, bounce theories off the wall or whatever, just shoot her an email. Ask her a question. Ask her a couple of questions. If you have a draft and there's something in your draft that you want her to look at specifically, send her your draft as well and ask her in the body of the email. Excuse me. You know, like I said, if you're concerned about your references page, then tell her that in the email. Say, I'm concerned my references don't look right, blah, 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 blah. Can you look over them? That's that. Now, if you opt to do the email conference rather than the video conference, that's fine. Excuse me, y'all. I have a bit of a sore throat. I think I have a summer cold. I don't have COVID. I promise. I don't have a symptom. I don't have the symptoms of COVID. I think I just have a summer cold. I tend to get these every year. Anyway, if you opt to do the email conferencing rather than the video conferencing, then keep in mind still that Miss Banville is only going to take about 5 minutes to look at your work. So again, it's not a thing where you are going to email her your paper and expect her to read your entire draft, or spend 20-30 minutes trying to give you feedback and that kind of thing. That's not what this is about. Because you got to keep in mind, Miss Banville is also juggling other conferences. She herself is a PhD student, so she's juggling her own work. I mean, you guys know how the end of the semester is. You have papers to write. You have all these things that are going on. So you just can't expect her to sit down and spend 30 minutes on your paper. It's just not going to happen. So with that being said, if you opt to do the email instead of the video chat, just keep in mind that it's going to work the same way, where she's going to take 5 or 6 minutes. You want to point out a specific issue or a specific couple of small issues for her to look at. But most importantly, just don't expect her to come back and have like detailed feedback where she's going to go through and comment on everything. She's not going to do that. But like I said, if you can't or don't want to use the video option and you still want to conference, then that's your alternative, is to simply send an email. Now, with all that being said, we will do the same exact thing next week, except it'll be with me. So I will set up a thing where you have a conference time that you sign up for. I'll put that up later in the week because I need to sit down and figure that out. I'm working about 20 hours a week at Piggly Wiggly, stocking shelves. And, I have all my freshmen to deal with, as well as you guys. So, my schedule is a little bit all over the place, especially because I sometimes don't know when and if I'm working at Piggly Wiggly because of the way the trucks are all backed up because of everything. It's complicated. But later in the week, I will sit down with my boss and just tell him, like, look, I can't. I need this these days. I can't come in. So I need to kind of get that straight with him, and then I'll figure out a conferencing or a scheduling system rather for our conferences, and it'll work the same way. You'll click on a link, sign up for a time that you want, and 5-minute conferences, and we'll chat that way. But that'll be for next week. For this week, Miss Banville is going to be conferencing with you. I'm sorry it took me so long to get this stuff up and to you guys. It just kind of worked out that way. Like I said, my life has been crazy with everything going on and my work schedule. and you know, just general life problems and things like that. But anyway, I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are staying safe. I miss you like crazy. I'm very stir crazy. I want to go out and do things that I can't go out and do, obviously. But anyway, see you guys.